Hey, AFC playoff picture. 1, Patriots. 2, Tennessee Titans. 3, Kansas City Chiefs. 4, Baltimore Ravens. 5, San Diego Chargers, now the LA Chargers. 6, the Baltimore Colts, now the Indianapolis Colts. 7, the Kansas City Bills, now the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, yeah, another edition of the Gentleman Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Kyle. With me, dejected Robert Rushlow on a special Sunday night edition, emergency edition of the Gentleman Fantasy Podcast. Robert, how are you feeling tonight on this playoff eve weekend?
Dejected works. That's a good one. That's about where I'm at.
You know, you're as sad as a person I've ever met who's actually already in the playoffs.
Right, but I am barring a 20-point game from Cup or a 20-point half from Aaron Rodgers. I am out of the division champs game, which we mentioned last time we did a pod, and you kind of blew off saying there's no way it could happen.
You're right. I was a little off on that one. I really didn't think about the points on that situation. Steve was
38 points.
40 behind you, something like that.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I shit the bed about as hard as a bed can be shat without it being declared an actual bombing. So, yeah, that's I guess I'm going to be in the first round of the playoffs after all and not competing for that division champs game. So,
well, since it's Monday night, yes, all right, since it's Sunday night, let's do a little bit of breaking news. All right, here's the breaking news. This is the playoff picture right now. This is the reason we're here. Right now, there's 3 matchups that matter. The rest, who gives a shit about the rest of them? So if you were one of those people, if you're not one of these people, we don't really care about you right now.
In general.
In general, right?
Even as people.
We don't care. Anyway, here we are. One matchup, Pope versus Luke. I am locked in at 111.1. Luke has 82. He's projected for right around 100 last time I checked. He's got Montgomery going right now and the Packers defense going right now, which the Packers defense started out slow, then was doing really well after that interception touchdown. And then it gave up 2 more touchdowns. I don't know what's going on with this Packers game. It's pretty ridiculous right now.
That's an understatement. I did not expect it to be a high-scoring affair tonight. But, I mean, like I said, if Rodgers can replicate the first half into the second half, maybe just a touch better, I might actually have a swinger's chance with Travis here. So,
yeah,
let's see. I was just looking at the numbers. So he's at 87.3 right now. Wes is at 106.3 with Sony Michel yet.
Yep.
So Rodgers would really have to get crazy, and then Matt Prater would have to kick a shitload of field goals. That's one way that I could still get that bye week next week.
We'll get into all the gory details here just in a second here, but let's sidestep, since we're talking about Luke and Montgomery and the Packers defense, and apparently this crazy Packer game. I've never seen 2 teams score as easily as both of these teams have scored every time they score a touchdown.
Oh my God, that punt return. Like, I already hated football just because the noon games were not only terrible for my fantasy team, but they were just kind of hard to watch. I mean, honestly, the Buffalo game was interesting, but even that was tough to watch Brady just do the thing, on some average.
And who knew Perryman was still on that team, by the way? I guess I haven't watched enough of them this year. I was like, he's on their team yet? I thought they got rid of him.
Yeah, 6th string wide receiver just going off, of course. But that's the kind of crap that I hate, because I like Buffalo. I think it's kind of fun cheering for them just because of their tortured history.
Yeah. I wish it was fun cheering for Buffalo. I've been cheering for Buffalo all year. It's not been fun.
Yeah, just to watch them get spanked right at the end after getting just enough hope but they needed to close the game out before
and right
overtime.
now Buffalo's in the last spot in the playoff seeding picture, and like 2 weeks ago they were the number 1 team, I think.
And the favorite coming into the year.
Right.
Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Bills, yay!" And then who'd have thought? Hey, Bill Belichick on one side, Tom Brady on the other side. Here we go again.
Yeah, this Packer Bear game is actually very consequential in these 3 matchups that we're about to talk about. So a lot of things could change by the time we're done with this episode. So I apologize if some of the stuff is wrong. But with that being said, right now we got right now we have again, me versus Luke, Montgomery and the Packers. Luke's projected for right around 100 points, so it's possible if Montgomery has a big game or the Packers score another touchdown, it is possible that he could come back. He needs, 30 points between the two for him to come back and win. If he were to come back and win, he's in the playoffs, period. He would either end up being the 3 seed or the 5 seed, depending on how Steve does. But as of right now, kind of the way it looks like I'm going to win that, which is going to give me a position in the playoffs as long as Travis loses. Okay? Which is where we're going to get into some crazy stuff here. Now, right now, Kral is up 65-48 on Robert. He's got Dylan and MVS. And I don't know how accurate that is. I don't believe Dylan did anything the last drive, but
no, he didn't.
Dylan and MVS, he's projected for right around 74 points. Right now, Robert has 48 points, and he's got Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. It's, and it's funny now because I need I guess I need MVS and Dylan to basically do nothing for the second half
rest
again.
Of the way, yes.
And I need Cooper Kupp to basically have, I don't know, right around a 20-point game, which he's done now 4 times this year.
I was just going to say, I looked it up. Cooper Kupp has 4 20-plus point games this year.
Right.
He's averaging 17 points on the season.
So, yeah, he doesn't have 20-point.
He's been consistent. He's been hovering right around 15 to 20 points pretty much every game all season.
It would have to be touchdowns this game, though, because Arizona's defense is pretty tough.
Correct.
And primetime game.
Every time he scored over 20 points, he's had 2 touchdowns.
Right. So it's going to have to be pretty intense. So I'm not exactly holding my breath on that one, especially with AJ Dillon just running for 10 yards.
Dillon just had a nice run there. Yes. I'm watching the replay right now. And
so
the other matchup here, it's important, is Steve right now has 106. Travis has 77.3. This is kind of the linchpin matchup right now because it kind of could go both ways. It's potentially could be close. Steve's got Sony Michel to go. He's projected for 119. Travis, on the other hand, has Rodgers and Matt Prater to go. So, with Rodgers just completing another big pass here, or is that just a replay? No, it's the Lazard replay. Oh, no, they're showing first half highlights. God damn it. Anyway.
Real good analysis here. Just focus on what you're talking about. Don't try to watch the game live while you're doing it.
Right? If Rodgers has a big second half here, a lot of stuff can change. But as it sits right now, it looks like Steve could potentially win with about 119 points if Michelle has 13, which he's projected for. I believe Henderson's out for the. He's not going to play.
Yeah, he's on the COVID list. He can't play.
Yes, he's on the COVID list. So if Michelle gets I don't think he'll get. They did play the Jaguars last week, and he did have like 20-some carries for 100-some yards.
Yeah, he went off pretty good, and he is the outright starter in this game.
They're not Arizona, though.
Right.
Arizona's not the Jaguars. So
no, they're not going to allow a ton of running. So the only scenario that's realistic for me is big game from Rodgers, big game from Prater. Michelle trips over his dick and gets hurt or something. And
correct.
That's how it ends.
And if Robert gets that big game, and Travis beats Steve, I'm out of the playoffs. It gives Luke a shot to be in the playoffs. Or does it? No. No, Luke's out either way. But that opens the door, and it kind of opens the door back and forth for Travis and Steve. Because you see, if Travis loses, Travis would have to outscore Crawl by 30 points, give or take. 28 to be exact. So right now, Crawl's looking at somewhere in the 75 range. Travis is looking at about 96. So, I mean, we're talking if Rogers has a decent game here and Prater has a good game, if Travis can score over 100 points and Crawl kind of gets right around the 75 region, it's going to be nip and tuck for who gets that sixth spot between the two of them as long as I win. If for some reason Luke wins, then things get jumbled up a little bit. But it kind of comes down to, the more points Crawl could score, the better chance he has of getting in. The more points Travis scores, the better chance he has of getting in. So those two are kind of battling back and forth. Records doesn't even matter between the two of them. Now, your situation,
I remember back when I scored points.
Yeah, you're battling with Steve right now because you need to get within. Right now, Steve is 20 points down from you. No,
he's way past me.
Steve. Okay, I'm sorry. Steve came into the week down 38 points on you, and he is doubling you up right now.
Yeah, he blew past me.
So, as if the projections go as
the points thing is off the table. There's not an amount Cup can get me back into that.
Well,
not
I was
after
just
that
I was
huge
just going to
Brady
say
touchdown.
that. So now you need to gain. Cup needs to score 20 more points than Michelle, basically, for you to get back into the game with Steve here.
Right.
So the big matchup right there is Sony Michelle versus Cooper Cup. Cup has to outscore Michelle by 20 points, basically, to give you a chance to get that second seed back. If not,
simple.
Yeah, if not, Steve wins. Steve gets the second seed. Jason's the first seed. Steve would be the second seed. Robert would need to gain 20 points on him to get the second seed. Otherwise, he's going to be the third seed. Ryan's the fourth seed, locked in. The fifth seed is basically between Travis and myself. If I get that one, then Travis would be battling against Crawl and basically straight points. Crawl's got a lead on Travis right now. Going into the week, it was 12:49 to 12:21. But right now, if things stay as they are, and Crawl scores in the 20 or the 75 point range, he'll end up with 325. If Travis scores about 100, he'll end up at right around 1320. So I mean, those two are super close.
Yeah, and
neither of them are depending on a win or a loss to get in. It's straight points with them. Aaron Jones just scored a touchdown. Was that a pass?
No. So that kind of puts it even more unrealistic for Travis to come back on Steve, just because time off the clock.
There is 9:24 left in the third quarter, so I mean, there's some time left.
I guess. I mean, he'd have to throw 3 touchdowns, but
yeah,
things, right?
Right. I mean, anything can happen. But this was your Sunday night playoff eve update. We wanted to just quick go through the scenarios here going into Monday night and kind of the second half of this game.
That had nothing to do with it. Kyle just wanted to capture my anger in real time so everyone could see it. He's just like, "Oh man, you really did shit the bed and lose that bye week. We need to get this on tape quick."
Robert's been, if I could bottle the text messages that we have between ourselves during a normal Sunday and turn it into a podcast, I think it would be probably way funnier than anything we do on a normal podcast night.
God, I feel like I just lost like 3 fantasy matchups in one, just because of not just losing to Crawl, but losing the bye and losing the ability to be in the division champs game. Just so much loss. And then really put me over the edge was that punt return touchdown by the Bears, and I was just like, I am fucking done with football for the day. I just couldn't handle it anymore. And then of course that's right when you're like, hey, ready for a pod. Let's really unpack this and think about it.
But really, I mean, could this be a more frustrating Sunday night Packer Bears game? It really seems like either team, whoever is scoring, is just like the stupidest, easiest way to score. I mean, Adams' touchdown looked like he wasn't even trying. The reverse touchdown, nobody touched him. The Bears kick return touchdown, nobody touched him. I mean, it's all just ridiculous, is what it is.
Yeah, I would really enjoy it if the Packers won, which is like stating the obvious.
Well,
but
right.
I feel like if there's any hope left for me to enjoy football, I at least need to see my team win, for God's sake.
Well, we're going to go back to watching this game. That was your Sunday update. Again, just to run it down quick, it looks like I'm going to beat Luke. If I beat Luke, there's a good chance I get in, as long as Travis doesn't beat Steve. If Travis beats Steve, I'm out. If Steve wins, Travis is going to be battling Crawl for the 6th spot, which comes down to points. It looks like Crawl's going to win. That really doesn't matter. But aside from the fact that if Steve wins and Robert loses, Steve jumps up to the 2 spot. Robert gets a 3rd spot. Robert gets to pick his opponent. Now, do we have, if you get the 3rd spot, do we have a preview of what you're potentially thinking here going into the playoffs? Who might you want?
I didn't honestly unpack what my options are.
I mean, your options would be potentially Crawl, Travis, me, Ryan, or a super long shot would be Luke.
That's tough because there's so many people I want to beat in that list right there. Crawl and Ryan being on the top of the list, just the people I'd like to what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Like I have some overdue.
You'd like to avenge?
Yes, some vengeance. I feel like I might need to go against Crawl again just because of what happened this week. But I don't know.
You would
I'll look
be
at the matchups.
so
I'll try to
salty if you lost to Crawl in the first week.
I would be. I already am. I'm salty at what just happened here, but
I mean, pretty much. Here's the thing: if I were in your position, I'd be salty about having to face any of them. I mean, I would definitely.
Look at his points. He didn't do anything that impressive. Like, if I get more than 0 from fucking Carlson, like, look at his points. He got so Lamar Jackson gets hurt, right? He has 0.1 point from his quarterback, right? 2.1 from Gibson. Barely anything from Tampa Bay, and then of course, because the backup comes in and doesn't know anything but throw to Andrews, that's what he does. And Andrews ends up with this incredible like bonus 80 yards and a touchdown just because he's the only person getting thrown to by this fucking idiot backup quarterback. Like, it's just shit you can't make up. Like, Kral could like slip on a fucking piece of cow shit and land in a ditch, but land on buried treasure and just find it and be like, hey, look, treasure. Cool. Glad I slipped on that shit.
But I mean, while we're here, I mean, you're talking about Kral getting lucky. I mean, on the flip side of that, he's only got 70 points. You have 48.
Apparently that's all he needed. See comment 1.
But I mean, so you have some key guys here who are just falling apart for you. Dak Prescott specifically. He was a 22, 34, 23, 31, just a juggernaut through the first half of the season, through the bye week.
Who insisted on throwing just one more interception just to make sure that there was no chance any of my players would break double digits. He's oh, hold on. But you thought this was bad. I can make it worse.
Quite honestly,
hold my beer.
Before the bye week, he had one stinker against the LA Clippers. But other than that, through 6 weeks, he was averaging 3+ touchdowns a game and, like 1 turnover a game.
Oh, did you see that beautiful strip sack?
I did not.
That
Rodgers
was a
get
beauty.
stripped?
No, Preston Smith got your boy Fields.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's another touchdown.
Whoa, that was a pass.
That was definitely a pass. All right,
Holy
well,
shit.
Aaron Jones just scored another touchdown. This is what happens when you get carried away with the podcast. Anyway.
This is the problem with trying to do it live, because now Travis is up to 95.7.
Is he really?
He's only 10 points down on Steve.
Oh, shit. That's not good. Not good for me at all.
Wow. What a time to be alive. Maybe we should keep podcasting. This is going well.
I don't know if we could filibuster for the next 40 minutes.
No, let's not.
Let's not do that. No, the point I'm trying to make here is Prescott's been letting you down. He's not had more than 2 touchdowns since the bye, since his injury, but he's had multiple turnover games basically every week. He's in 3 out of 4 weeks. He's had -4, 11.1, and 5.9. Are you worried about your quarterback situation going into the playoffs?
Sort of. So I watch all the games, and he does have a different feel than he did the beginning of the year. He looked sharp.
Oh, yeah.
He was making sharp passes, being patient, getting to a second and third read. I don't know if he's just seeing ghosts now, or if, that slight injury he took got him a little paranoid, but you could tell he's only getting to like a second read before panicking and leaving the pocket, which he wasn't doing in the beginning of the year. So yeah, absolutely. I'm a little concerned. The problem is I don't really have an alternative right now that I can honestly say I'd rather roll out. I looked on waivers. I looked at the matchups, and it's just, I kind of have to roll with them,
Now, here's your thing though. What do you have left for your budget here?
I have $20, I think.
You got $20, right?
Yeah.
Kroll needs a quarterback. Am I right? Because is Jackson
Lamar
hurt?
sprained his ankle. He is in a walking boot right now, but they didn't say whether or not he's been ruled out.
I mean, I'm not trying to tell you anything.
No, I was already thinking
but
it.
you got $20. You could call your shot, call out Kroll.
Could just roster a bunch of QBs for no reason.
I'm not saying roster. I mean, you can only have 3, but you could definitely try to take the best options off the board. That is a possibility.
I already have Tannehill in my bench, so I guess I could try to cherry pick the top one, but it's not really the way I play.
Sometimes you got to play defense here, Robert.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'll take a look. It's all so frustrating to even think about that I have to think like this.
And I'm just hoping that Travis.
And I haven't necessarily said I'm playing Kroll next week, by the way. It could be you, bud.
Let's be honest.
If I have to go down, I might just want to go down playing against your ass.
I want to be honest. If I were you, I'd want to go against me, because my team is so trick or treat. You never know who's showing up when. I'm relying on a Bills team that shits the bed in every big game, except for tonight when they just shit the bed in overtime.
Yeah, well, the trick or treat thing is what I'm afraid of. You're the second highest scoring team of the week as it stands right now. So,
yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Maybe I should just ask Ryan if he'll just start Vikings against me like he did against Los this week, and I'll just go against him.
That was, I mean, that was kind of a
close.
Bad choice by him, though, because he was the closest guy, or wasn't he? Oh no, he was at 1280.
Yeah, he wasn't.
So he's down 120 points to Jason. He's about to be down like 200 points to Jason, because I think Jason scored 125.
Sure he did all the math before he made that weird Vikings play.
I mean, I guess you and Steve will still have a shot at him. Maybe not you. Steve will have a shot at him yet.
So
3 weeks
when you guys
ago.
listen to this podcast, you go ahead and jump in the group chat. If you want me to pick you as your week 1 easy to beat guy, just let me know. Meaning I'll be easily beaten. I usually lose in week 1, so
Yeah.
I'll take Venmo, PayPal, whatever you want.
Yep.
Whoever wants to beat me, just let
let's
me know.
let's address that right now. I will be sending out information to everyone. You're going to need to download the Zoom app if you haven't already. I will approximately around 9:00. I'm going to send out the group chat number and the password. You have to have the exact numbers and the exact password, uppercase, lowercase, that kind of stuff. Jump in the chat session, and what I'm going to do, and unfortunately, you guys are going to have to take turns, because when we get too many people talking on here, everybody talks over each other, and it's just a mess because you don't know what's going on. But Robert and I are going to pick one guy after another to take your turn. When you're muted, obviously you can listen to everybody else, but I will take turns jumping each person in and out, and then at the end we'll do 5 minutes with everybody on board who could be available that night. We're looking at Tuesday night or about 9:00. Sometimes it's a little earlier, sometimes it's a little bit later, but I will be sending out that invite info as a text message or something to everyone, and then you guys just jump on. I got to authorize you to you'll get in a waiting room. I have to authorize you to get in. And then once you're in, I'm going to mute certain people, and we'll take people one by one, and we'll just talk about your playoff situation, hopes, futures, dreams, whatever. And we'll talk about whoever, if it ends up being Robert or Steve, most likely looking Robert, we'll talk to Robert, and we'll get the official selection of who he's picking to play against on Tuesday night as well.
Sounds like a rockin' good time.
And without further ado, we're going to go back to watching this game now. There's 6 minutes left in the third quarter. I'm Kyle, your host, with my buddy Robert, dejected as always.
Go Pack.
This is another week of the Fantasy Football Podcast. We will be back on Tuesday, so, this is a little preview for you. You guys have a good Monday.
Later. Go Pack.